When I was in the ninth grade, I was in Algebra 101. I didn't care too much for it, even though I enjoyed math. But one particular day, the teacher decided that everyone was going to solve the problem on the board. And she walked around the class, and then she came to me. She said, Carla, I want you to solve that problem on the board. I said, I have no idea. I can't see the board. She said, what do you mean? I said, I don't see a problem up there. I don't see the board. She said, because I know she was just annoyed at me. Then she said, wait a minute. She took off her glasses and she said, Carla, put these on. Now, these were the 80s big, gigantic glasses. And I put them on. I said, oh, I can see the board now. I can see the problem. She said, Carla, tell your mother you need glasses. That evening, my mother took me to the eye doctor in Crofton, Maryland, and I've had glasses ever since then. So what's my point? My point is just sharing that educators, they actually do far more than what they're required to do, not just to be able to instruct us, but they impact our lives. And today on Lead Like You Mean It, people, we have two educators. I'd like to bring them up to the stage. We have Julie Allen. Julie is an experienced instructional, I can't even say it, designer with over 15 years of experience creating learning experiences that are accessible and effective. She specializes in web accessibility and helping organizations build inclusive training programs. Hey, Julie.
Hey, Carla.
We also have Rachel Martinez. Rachel is an instructional librarian. Hey, Rachel, it's the first time I've heard of that.
Yeah.
We've got to talk about that. I've never heard of that before. She's also a project manager with experience designing curriculum and training programs in both industry and academia. She enjoys helping entrepreneurs and business owners translate their expertise into teachable skills. Welcome, Rachel. Welcome, Julie. It's glad to have you on Lead Like You Mean It, people.
All right. Thank you, Carla. We're excited to be here.
Hey, this is the first time I think on the show. Maybe we had one with we had a Comfort and Leaders Summit a couple of weeks ago, but this is the first time we've had really just two people. We usually just have one, so this is a great opportunity.
Yeah, we're excited to be here.
Oh,
yeah, we're here for it. We're doing it live, as we always say.
That's right. So, Rachel, talk to us before we get into the questions. Talk to us about let me make sure I get it correct again. Because again, instructional librarian.
Instructional librarian.
Instructional. Yeah. I can't say it with my teeth. Instructional librarian.
We get it. Yeah. So information literacy is one of the most important things that people learn throughout their lives, both in the classroom and outside of the classroom. And it's how to determine what information they use to make decisions in everyday life. And so in an academic environment, like where I'm at, so my day job is that I work at a medical school. And so we teach information literacy in the context of health information literacy. Mm-hmm. And so that means being able to find the information, being able to assess its worthiness for whatever context you're using it in, and then being able to disseminate that and communicate that to your peers and to the people that you are serving. So in this case, it would be doctors and patients. Mm-hmm. So, and I've done this for quite a while now. I've been a librarian for about 10 years, and I'm all about finding resources and all about letting people know what resources they have available to them, and teaching them ways to assess if it's worthy enough for them.
So I'm thinking of a librarian. When I go to the library, it's about less than a mile from my house.
Yeah.
What's the difference? Pardon me. What's the difference with working with a doctor who needs information than with me?
Yeah. So it's really all boils down to the same need, right? Like they need information, whether it's a book or in a doctor's case, maybe an article. So it's really just pulling from a different source and being able to have the knowledge to know that specialized information and being able to help them. So my background, I have a background in biology. And a lot of my colleagues do. They do have backgrounds in science or teaching as well. And they're able to help with that. They also, a big part of medical librarianship is being able to help with publications. So the way that I like to explain it is that there's always communication going on in medicine. And sometimes that's through formal means like journal articles. And so that is how people talk to each other. That's how discoveries are made. And so there's always something being researched, and it's always being talked about, and it's always being written about. And so that's where we kind of come in, where doctors will say, hey, I'm noticing this in this patient, or I'm noticing this pattern in this population of patients. Can you help me find literature on it? And if there's a gap in it, I want to be able to talk about it. I want to be able to contribute to that wider conversation. And so that's where I come in.
Cool. So we have a comment here from Victoria Kane. She said, hey, yay, librarians.
Hey. Rachel is amazing because everything that we do in our company is evidence-based. So I'm always asking Rachel to pull research. And Rachel always finds the most amazing. So we can present that to our clients too in terms of like evidence-based practice. So Rachel is just a fount of experience and knowledge.
Wow. Wow. Because I would think that, so if I'm going to the library to look for a particular book, I'm thinking, how would a doctor approach you from a leadership perspective? Because my thought would be he or she could come across in a negative manner. I don't know for sure. Just because they need something to be able to help someone's health, to be able to improve it, to whatever, prepare for surgery or anything. But how would they come across from a leadership point of view?
From a leadership point of view. So I think that a big part of good leadership is knowing what you don't know. And so I think that I'm blessed in that I work with some pretty amazing doctors who exhibit that trait. And so they will come to the library and they'll be like, hey, I'm lost. I don't know. I have this question that I want answered. It's a research question. Can you help me find this, and usually, and when they come to us with that mindset, they're open to it. So I think that from that leadership perspective, things run a lot more smoothly rather than, hey, I just need this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. So basically they come from a perspective of humility.
Yes. Yeah. Well, I would hope that, a doctor would be honest and say, I've never seen this before. I don't know. Let's take a look at the literature. Yeah. And if they don't, then that's a bedside manner that needs to be addressed.
Yeah. Because that's one of my things. If as a leader, if you don't know, you search for the information. You can let people know, hey, I simply don't know. You have to be honest and not conjure up something. But at the same time, I believe in hiring somebody who knows far more than you do in a particular area.
Exactly. Yeah. So
when they reach out to you, that's what they're doing.
That's exactly what they're doing. And so, I think that's really what it's all about. Delegating the tasks that you don't have expertise on.
Absolutely. Julie,
Yes,
Hey,
Carla.
Julie, before we get to you, let's talk about your mama.
Oh yeah, let's.
Because she helped us. So I want to hear about
She
your
did.
mom's background.
Oh yeah, so my mom, she's amazing. So my mom has had a very interesting. She started out as a medical technician. That was before I was born. She worked as a hospital at a hospital, drawing blood and running tests. And I mean, that was, well, I don't want to date myself, right? But that was before a lot of safeguards were in place, right? So she's told me some pretty harrowing stories about
Wow.
slitting her finger on like glass test tubes and this kind of thing. So like, but she did that for a long time. She loved science. She tried so hard. My sister and I, we both ended up as English, journalism, literature majors, but she wanted a little science baby so badly. But so she really loved science. So she did that for a long time, took some time off and then went back and got a bachelor's degree in computer science at ESU. And so that was sort of the second half of her career was working as a software developer.
Cool.
And she did that for many years before she retired. And so she's my QA person. She's very tech savvy. So and she's got a real great eye for detail. So I ask her all the time to look over my stuff. She's amazing.
And that's the reason why I thought of her, because she said, you know what? I think I'm gonna ask my mom to look at, to look at this, to look at the product. So that's pretty cool.
Mama Marsha.
Yep, Mama Marsha.
Say that again.
I said Mama Marsha. She comes in clutch.
That's great. You have a great resource and a trustful resource as well.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about your background, Julie.
Yeah, no. So I kind of touched on it in a bit. I have a bit of a weird background. My undergraduate degree was in journalism. So I started out wanting to be a writer. Actually, even before that, I really wanted to be an animator. So I started my college career in the arts and took a weird circuitous route into photography, which then led me into journalism, which then actually led me into writing. So I worked at a newspaper for several years, quickly realized that was a dying industry and probably wasn't going to be able to make a living. So I took an editing position with a large university here in Phoenix that is really heavily invested in online education. And I worked as an editor in their curriculum department. And that was my introduction to instructional design. I'd never heard of that before as a career path. Had absolutely no idea what that was. But what really struck me is how creative everybody was, because really the heart of instructional design is figuring out what is the problem, right? There's some kind of skills gap that's necessitating a course or a training. So what is that skills gap? What is the problem that we're trying to solve for? What are the key skills that we need to build in our learners? And then how do we get them to that point as efficiently as possible? And people were just doing the most amazing creative work too. People were creating games, they were creating simulations, they were creating videos. Like a friend of mine did this really cool video. It was like a zombie theme, almost like a comic theme. It was so cool. Just, I don't know, people are just doing the most creative, amazing stuff. So I was like, I want to do that. Like, what? That's amazing. So I was able to get my master's degree through my employer. And so got a master's in adult education and training. And that's what led me into this career path. So I've worked a variety of universities. I've worked for some corporations before coming into Watch Me into our business. And I love what I do. It's the most exciting thing. You're constantly working on something different, a new problem, a new area, a new industry. And we get to be learners, which is amazing. I love that about my job.
I know.
So the two of you own a business called Watch Me.
Watch Me.
Yes.
Okay. But you still have your, I would say, full-time jobs. So correct me if I'm wrong.
Yep.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
But you have a business. So talk to us, and then I'll say a little later about how we met. Talk to us a little bit about how you all came together as business partners, and really just explain why.
Yeah. So Rachel and I had the great privilege of working together at another big university here in Arizona. We both worked for the library. I was the instructional designer, the first actually that the library had ever hired. And Rachel was working as a STEM librarian. And I started about 6 months before COVID. Rachel, I think you started a little earlier than I did, but we were both pretty new, kind of getting acclimated to, to this new place that we found ourselves in. And then the bottom fell out because of COVID, right? And we went virtual. And so me coming from an online education, I've worked in online education pretty much my large part of my career. So that was, for me in a weird sort of way, it was kind of like, I don't want to say my time to shine because it was a horrible time, but
but it was.
But I was very busy, because everybody needed to transition to online, and that's, how do we move this educational experience online, right? So Rachel and I started working together. We ended up creating a whole new product line. We called them lib kits, but it was basically because faculty kept coming to us and saying, like, we are having this gap, right? Students are coming and they don't know how to do a literature search. They don't know how to find the right database. They don't know how to cite their sources. They don't know, they don't know how to find appropriate research for their discipline. And especially for online courses, right, where we have students like all over the world potentially, they can't physically come to the library, and we can't do in-person like real-time instruction. How do we do that? So Rachel and I put our head together, and we came up with basically a collection of offerings specifically attuned to the problems that we were hearing from faculty needed to be addressed. And we created an entire line of products that could be dropped directly into their course shell, so people could put it just at the time where students needed it, right? And Rachel is just so amazing. We had such a great time working together. I'll let you talk, Rachel. I'm blabbing.
No, I mean that's exactly what happened, and I think that that problem had preceded COVID, to be honest. The library was small in comparison to the size of the university. And so it was like at the beginning of every semester, we were just slammed with these instruction requests. And it's basically like you go into these huge lecture halls filled with, these 100 and 200 level classes. And it's like, oh, teach them about the library. You have 20 minutes. And it's like, that's not an efficient use of anybody's time. And if you're in a classroom full of 18 and 19-year-olds, they really don't care. Like they'll be on their phones, or they'll just not show up, or they'll walk out, and it's just like, we're just spinning our wheels at that point. So that had already been on my mind. And at the time I was taking instructional design classes at that university as well, because I was taking advantage of the discounted tuition. And so when Julie came on board, I know, Julie, I cornered you in like the break room, because I was just like so fascinated by her skill set. And I always tell Julie this, but I love working with Julie because she comes from this place of yes. Like, when you work, so in improv, they have, the yes and principle. So whatever anybody else does on the stage, you go with it. You say yes, and you try to build off of that. And I've never had any of my ideas shut down by Julie. Aww. She always builds upon them. She's always hyping me up. I will always love Julie for that, and I think that's why we work so well. And so I think that during that time we realized that we worked really, really well together. And the way the Watch Me came about was because probably, fall 2020, that was when we got the call to come back into the office. Everything was going to go back to quote unquote normal. And things were still a mess. And I think that in the desire to get back to normal, they kind of put online learning at the back burner again. And we just thought that was so short-sighted. Like that was so, like, you're throwing the baby out with the bathwater, right? And it just felt like we were just getting stifled. And I didn't want to go back to those big lecture halls and feel like nothing. I just felt like useless, And we had some faculty champions who were really, really great and really liked what we did. And so when you know, our bosses kind of shut the door on us, it was like, what? And I mean, it bothered me so much that I mean, so this is how the name came about. I actually had a dream that it was me and Julie in this boardroom or this conference room with our bosses and our peers, and it was like we were just throwing out ideas, and every idea that we were getting was being shot down, which is not, you know, deviating from real life, because that's really what was happening. And in the dream, I actually got so angry that I flipped the table. And I said, "You don't think that we can do it? Watch me do it." And I remember we discussed it in, I think we were on Discord or, you know, some kind of chat room. And at the time we had a third person that wanted to be involved in it. And I wrote out like what this nightmare was. And that person was like, "That's our name. That's the name of this company." Yeah. And so that's how Watch Me was born, because it's like, not only, you know, in that instance of just like total frustration, but I think that when people are learning something, there is that element of watch me, you know, watch me do this new thing. I think that we're all about viewing learning as a vehicle for new experiences. And I think that's what people really crave.
Yeah. I saw a comment from Connie about the story. I thought it was watch me from a perspective of, you know, just watch me as far as looking at my e-learning. I'm sitting here on my laptop. But the fact of it took me back to maybe about 2 years ago, when I was told, as I'm building my coaching practice, that you should only focus just on coaching. And I'm sitting here thinking, okay, well, while I enjoy coaching very much, there are other things that I can do. And that's what I felt when you said, watch me, because I thought, okay, I'm just supposed to stay in this narrow lane and not be able to serve people. Watch me do it.
Watch me. I think that resonates with so many entrepreneurs.
Yes.
Because I mean, we all have that element of like of being a rebel in a sense. And it's like, you can't tell me what to do. Watch me.
Okay, thank you. You're not the boss of me.
Yeah. Get out of here.
I'm my boss. That's pretty good. I have to remember that, because it is a sense. It is with entrepreneurs. You don't believe I can take this path that's unknown, or a path that's unfamiliar with you, but it's something that I want to do for myself, and I know I can serve other people. So, you know, I can snicker and say, you know, watch me. I love it, because that was just get out of my seat.
Yep.
That's cool. So basically, with you all's business, Watch Me, you solved the problem.
We did. We did. And you know, it doesn't come without its challenges.
Sure.
I think that when we first got started, we fell into the trap of like, oh, we're for everybody, you know, and every you know, coach or mentor that we talked to, they were like, you need to niche down, and it's like, what does that mean, you know? So I think that we just there was a lot of lessons learned along the way. At the time, you know, when we had quit our full-time jobs, I went part-time. I worked retail just so that I could have health insurance. I know that Julie did the same.
Yep.
So we just had that hustle. I mean, I know that term gets thrown around so much, and it sounds like an entrepreneur tech bro, but I mean, there's really no other way to describe it. And
it is what it is.
It is what it is.
It felt like wandering through the wilderness, truthfully. It
felt like wandering through the wilderness and just like being so tired and so sweaty. But but we were having fun. I mean, there's nothing like, you know, meeting together and being like, oh, yeah, I want to try this thing, and we don't have to, go through channels. We don't have to get approval. It's just us,
Yep.
Waiting for someone to sign off on the document.
No, we don't have to
Yep.
convince anybody. We don't have to make a case, So,
and you learn a lot about resilience too. I
Yes.
mean,
Oh, yeah.
because you really, you have no one else to approve, like you said, but then also no one else to blame, right? When things don't go the way you
Mhm.
expect.
Yes.
And, and it is definitely scary. But you also learn a lot about, the things that you think would absolutely destroy you, or you think, you realize like, I can get through this. Like I can, you know what I mean? I think, it's definitely can be very harrowing, but I think it's a really good experience. I feel like everyone should start a business at least once
Yeah.
in their life, because it really does teach you a lot about what you can accomplish. So
Yeah, it brings out the good, the bad, the ugly of your personality.
Oh yeah.
oh yeah.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
because you can go through a situation, and I could always rely on when I was a manager at within Navy. I knew how to take care of things. However, now that I own my own business, it's like, oh, Carla, how are you going to conduct yourself in this situation?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wait a
Yeah.
minute. You just can't sit here and say, oh, I'm just going to be a silly Carla, or I'm just going to ignore it and delegate the issue. No,
Yeah.
you have to deal with it in a
Yeah.
professional manner.
We were just talking about that the other day, and how entrepreneurship brings out a lot of trauma. And just like yeah, I mean, your feet are to the fire. Like, how are you gonna respond to it? I mean, I know that like there were times, and I regret it. You just feel so overwhelmed, you just kind of bury your head in the sand.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, you got people who you need to, talk to and update. And yeah, so there's a lot of lessons learned, and a lot of accountability that you don't get in other situations.
No.
Mm-hmm.
We have a question here from Victoria. She says, her question is, was there a point where you wanted to give up? Ooh, Victoria, that's a deep question. Very deep. I'll let the ladies handle that.
I mean, yeah. I mean, for me personally, I was hungry, like physically hungry. I remember we had a client who, when the bottom kind of fell out, and that was like early this year, or early last year. So like, January 2025, it was just like the writing was on the wall. I was going to have to go back to work. And that was really hard. Because I have a dog, and I have, my own place. But I never wanted to like throw in the towel for Watch Me. Yeah. The way that I got through that was like, it's just going to look a little different, but it's still going to be my baby. I never, as far as like quitting, like shutting down the LLC, that never crossed my mind. Yeah. I'll let Julie answer for her own self, but for me personally, yeah.
Well, you know what it was is that for me, it was going from, having like a long, and I don't want to say storied career, but like I had a name for myself, right? At the where I worked, and I was known, and then you leave that in the relative like kind of safety bubble of that into going out, and like no one knows who you are. And I have such a weird, it's such a, it's kind of this like ephemeral, like, so what do you do? And I've always been told that, you're too academic, and that's fair. So it's kind of like, how do I explain what I do? Because it is kind of, and so I kind of felt like I'm not kidding, like I really had an existential crisis. Who am I? What do I do? What value do I bring? Like what? Yeah. And like I really had to work through that. And truthfully, I'm still seeing a therapist on the regular, which is a great thing for any entrepreneur. Yes. Have a therapist on. but because it was like within the context of my job, right? Like I had a role, I had a firm, like job responsibilities, and so that really, and I a lot of my identity was really tied up in my job, if I'm honest, right? Like I love the work that I do, and that really brings me a lot of joy. And so feeling like I couldn't do that work, right? Or I couldn't articulate my value, I couldn't, like, it really is like beyond just like money, it really threw me like emotionally through for a loop. And I also went back to work full time because the economy is real strange right now, right? And what I'm doing right now for my day job is not instructional design, and I'll be honest, it's hard. I'm in conversations where I have a lot of expertise, but I'm not necessarily being asked for that expertise, and that is a bit challenging. But it's so that is to say, like, the answer is no. I mean, I love what I do. I want to continue doing what I do. I have a lot of expertise, and that's just never, it's not even a question, right? It's like I will get back to doing that full time. So
yeah. That's something that the whole identity thing was really a big thing for both of us, because I know that in libraries, like being a librarian, there are people, I mean, that was my identity as well. And I didn't realize it until, and I was really stubborn when I quit. I was like, I'm never going back. I'm never doing that. I was so like disillusioned because, we had come from a pretty toxic workplace. Yeah. And I was like, I never, ever want to engage in any of that again. Thank God, like the place that I'm at now is nothing like that. But I remember like maybe, God, like a year after I had left, I was working retail, and one of my former coworkers from that place, he saw me, and I think I was delivering shoes to him, and he just, like, the look on his face was just like, and I was, at the time, I was so like, I don't know, like I felt like that flash of embarrassment, and then I was like, who are you to like, and he kind of said, he was like, Rachel, are you okay? And I was like, yeah, I'm fine. I mean, but it was, I don't know, it was such a weird moment, because I like I said, I felt embarrassed, but then I was like, why am I embarrassed? I'm trying to like do something out here. Yes. And this is just what it looks like, so
and it's not permanent, it's temporary.
It wasn't permanent, obviously, but yeah, I remember that, and I remember, being like, God, did I make the right decision? But then, I know I did. I know I did.
Yeah, that's one thing that I don't hear too much of about being an entrepreneur, is that it's like this. And when Victoria asked that question, is the time that you wanted to give up? So sometimes on a daily basis, but just for that day, not the big picture.
Yeah.
I don't want to deal with it today. I want to give up for this moment, but in 5 minutes, I'm going to continue on. But it is like this.
It is.
But it's enjoyable. It's one of the most challenging, one of the most interesting. And I know I have educators here, but I'm going to say one of the most funnest things that I've ever.
We'll allow it.
Okay. We only have about a minute or so left. I need to ask you one of Connie's questions.
Connie.
Yeah.
Connie.
Connie's done a great job. She's an excellent producer of this show.
She is, yes.
Okay. I'm going to rephrase it in a way. How does the boundaries to protect your ability to lead support other people within your business? So it's a boundaries question.
I think time is a big one for me. Especially, Julie and I have different work or wake schedules. Julie is way more of a night owl, and I'm more of an early bird. And so just like honoring that. So if I'm like working early in the morning, I might wait until a certain time to start peppering her with questions on Google Chat. And then, same with Julie, like she knows that I'm not one to burn the midnight oil. And I think that has saved us from unnecessary arguments. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the other thing I would add too is that not allowing people to question my expertise, because that was something when I was younger.
Beautiful.
I think there may be a bit of a gender component there, let's just say, but kind of feeling that need to explain and back up and and, at this point it's like, no, I know what I'm talking about, right? And there, like, that is a boundary too. Like, I'm not going to litigate my experience or my expertise. Take my advice or don't. But I think there's a bit in that. I think that just comes with age, right? Where it's just a switch, and and that's kind of what I need to like keep my sanity, frankly. So I think that's something a lot of folks out there struggle with, right? It's just we're not gonna go down that rabbit hole. Take my advice or don't.
Yeah.
So I never realized, because I am, just for the audience, I am a client of Watch Me. And now that you say it, Rachel, I get it, because I would look at my emails in the morning and you would respond. Then later on in the day, Julie would respond. Hey,
Yeah.
the collaboration works.
It does. It really does.
It works. It definitely works. So for you all, so Julie and Rachel, they created, I call it Pro Launch, and it's for young professionals to help them in the workforce. Because young professionals, I wish someone had provided something for me, but they need help navigating to understand that the cultures are different when you go from one organization to the next. It's just like going to a family member's home. Their home is far different than the house you grew up with. So you have different cultures within the organizations. You also have different generations. I'm a Gen Xer. At times it was challenging, if you can believe it, for me to deal with baby boomers. And then when the millennials started coming up, and they asked me years ago, "Oh, Carla, what about LinkedIn?" And I said, "LinkedIn, what is that?" This was around 2013. I had a millennial. She was a contractor, and she said, "Oh yeah, I was just offered this job in California." And I thought she went and she, normal thing. I worked for the government. She said, "Oh no, someone reached out to me on LinkedIn." And I'm like, "Huh?" But I had to learn how to work with different generations. So it's to help young professionals. The ladies did a fabulous job. So if anyone's interested, reach out to Watch Me. Oh, go ahead, Julie.
Well, I just wanted to say, like, a plug for you, because we had the privilege. You lined up an amazing slate of experts to interview. Really, that was a big part of the project. Was you had this deep bench of expertise, and we had the privilege of interviewing them for the course. And honestly, I learned a lot from getting to talk to those folks. And I still think there's one particular person I think about at least once a day in my job. And really? I'm just like, don't do it. Don't do it, Julie. Don't.
Oh, who was that? Who was the person?
I'd have to go back and look up. I'll get back to you offline, because I just need to refresh my memory. But I just in terms of, and you too, like there were a couple of things that from your expertise, from your experience, that I think about at least once a week. And just such a fantastic lineup of speakers. And if anyone's interested in checking that out, it's just, you get to learn not just from Carla and Carla's expertise, but also this amazing collection of really experienced people who really share a lot about their experience and the lessons that they've learned through making mistakes in their career. And it was phenomenal. So yeah, loved working on that project.
Yeah.
Well, ladies, I told you the time would go fast.
Yes,
it's really after the hour. Thank you so much. I appreciate this. Beautiful time with Rachel and along with Julie. Thank you, ladies. It's been fabulous.
Thanks,
and Connie will place your information in the comments in case someone will want to join Watch Me as a client. I highly, highly, highly recommend these ladies. And also, Connie will place in the comments for the hidden, I can't even remember what it is. Connie knows it better than I do. Still waiting. Still waiting for that promotion. Thank you, Connie. Find out what's really holding you back. Get your free assessment on the in the comments. So ladies, thank you again. Thank you, Connie, our wonderful producer. And we are out of here. Have a good day, everyone. See you in 2 weeks.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.